Morning, Miss McAllister.
Morning.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Mr. McAllister, here's your very own cheese pizza.
Take a look at 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. Dolls that will talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well, a sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will stop.
Hello, and welcome to a BlumenFalck podcast. This is the first podcast that we have done for nearly 4 years. Our last podcast was actually our third ever released video, which was released on March 13th, 2015. So it's been nearly 4 years since our last podcast. I'm officially bringing back the podcasts, me, Daniel Blumensev. So unfortunately, Barnaby Falk couldn't join us this week because he's very busy, but so you'll have to deal with me, Daniel Blumensev, the Blumen of BlumenFalck Film Talk. And this week, since it's almost Christmas, I wanted to just share with you guys some great and some of my favorite Christmas and Christmassy movies. This is not like a ranked list or anything, it's just I will share a bunch of Christmassy movies that I love, and they're not ranked in any order or anything, so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start this episode by some short films, some great Christmas short films. Okay, so first I want to talk about Santa's Workshop, which is a great Silly Symphonies movie, which was a Walt Disney series of short films. And yeah, and this movie I watched as a kid. It's a great, just beautiful animated film about Santa's workshop, how he prepares his toys and then distributes them to children. I'm sure everyone has seen this short film. Surprisingly, I found out that it's from 1932. I was sure this movie was like from the 60s or something. I mean, it's that old. But yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful short film by Silly Symphonies. I love it. Directed by Wilfred Jackson. One of my favorite Christmas memories, really. Next, speaking about Christmas memories, I want to talk about... Okay, so basically this is a TV episode which was shown on the show ABC Stage 67, which is called A Christmas Memory. And this is based on a story by Truman Capote. I believe there are two of these. So there's Christmas Memory and The Thanksgiving Visitor, which are two short films that were directed by the great Frank Perry. This is basically the true story of Truman Capote's own childhood, in which he recalls him being raised by his cousin, who is played by Geraldine Page, and young Truman is played by Donnie Melvin. And this is just one of the most kind and sweetest short Christmas films ever. Just, it's basically a masterpiece. Played geniusly by Geraldine Page as Sook, Capote's cousin who raised him. And it's a beautiful, beautiful short film, full of kindness and warmth, and just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful film. This short film was included in Frank Perry's movie trilogy, which is an anthology film of 3 stories, all written by Capote. And I actually reviewed this movie on Context and Craft on our channel, so I'll link this video in the description if you want to watch it. Great film trilogy, really beautiful. And now I want to talk about 2 great Christmassy Laurel and Hardy shorts. So first is Below Zero from 1930, directed by James Parrott. This one is about Laurel and Hardy, who are street musicians struggling to earn money on a cold winter day. This is a really funny, sweet, and warm and charming short film in which Laurel and Hardy attempt to earn some money and raise some money, and the ways they do it are very funny. Really funny finale with Laurel being stuck in a water barrel. One of the great Laurel and Hardy moments ever, in my opinion. And yeah, great short film. Also starring Hal Roach Studio regular Charlie Hall, who usually plays the angry guy who's always angry at Laurel and Hardy. And the other Laurel and Hardy short is 1930s Laughing Gravy, directed by James W. Horn. And this one is about, in deep winter, Laurel and Hardy are living in this apartment, and they have a dog called Laughing Gravy, which they hide from the landlord because he doesn't allow dogs in the house. And it's a hilarious episode with them hiding the dog, making the landlord go crazy, Hardy being stuck outside in the winter, tons of slapstick, really funny and cute episode. Next, of course, Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. I mean, how can you celebrate Christmas without Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean? From the raising money for charity by taking back what this burglar kid stole to playing with the dolls at Harrods and the policeman going with the police doll, and then it's just geniusness. And obviously the turkey stuffing, turkey on the head. You can't celebrate Christmas without watching Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. And also, I really like, I guess it's from my childhood as well, Madagascar's Penguins, Christmas Caper short film. I first saw it as a bonus on the Madagascar DVD. Great, beautifully animated short film about everyone in the Central Park Zoo are having a great Christmas with their friends and families. However, there's a lonely polar bear who is all alone, and one of the penguins decides to buy a present for the lonely bear, and he's captured by the evil granny in Manhattan, and it's basically about the other three penguins rescuing him. And it's a very funny and beautiful short film. However, it has a very strange ending that just completely ruins the whole point of the movie. It's very weird, but apart from that, it's a really lovely short film. Joe Dante's Gremlins. Okay, so I love Gremlins. I think it's a really sweet and cute and scary and also, funny and charming Christmas movie because it happens on Christmas. It's a great film with Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates. Dick Miller's also in it, who Joe Dante uses, I think, in every one of his movies. I'm not sure. So yeah, he's a cool guy. So Gremlins, really funny movie, really sweet. I also love Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 is this gigantic movie, and according to actually Zach Galligan, who I was at a talk of his, it was a screening of Gremlins on 70mm at the Prince Charles Cinema in London, and Zach Galligan was there, and he actually told a story that, so Spielberg's company, Amblin Entertainment, named after his first short film, Amblin, which is really good, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So Amblin Entertainment, they were preparing this gigantic sequel to Gremlins, Gremlins 2, this huge budgeted movie, and then apparently, while they were about to start shooting, Zach Galligan got a phone call from, I think, the producer of the film, who told him, so we're doing Gremlins 2, it's going to be this gigantic movie. By the way, do you want to be in it? And so he only found out literally last minute that he was going to star in Gremlins 2. So pretty funny story. But yeah, Gremlins 2 is a great movie. It's huge. I love it particularly for its epic Ben-Hur type scale. It's huge. Great fun, Christmassy and spooky film. Love it. Gremlins 2 and Gremlins 1 by the great Joe Dante. Okay, next. It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, obviously this is everyone's, go-to pick film. Plays at cinemas every Christmas. Obviously it's a great film. For me personally, I wouldn't actually watch this on Christmas because for me this movie is one of the most powerful films ever made. I literally cry when I watch it. So I wouldn't like to cry on Christmas, so I wouldn't actually watch it on Christmas. I think It's a Wonderful Life its power can be compared to Wim Wenders' Paris, Texas. I think it's basically as powerful. It's a masterpiece. It's an incredible film starring, Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, Lionel Barrymore, Henry Travers, Thomas Mitchell, Frank Capra's regular players. Also, it has an early role of Gloria Graham, which is pretty cool. I actually forgot that she's in this film. She plays like the attractive blonde that Jimmy Stewart sees. Good part, yeah, they're pretty cool. Also stars Ward Bond, H.B. Warner, etc. Yeah, so beautiful film, absolute masterpiece. It's really that good. It's just a perfectly written film. Perfectly directed, perfectly acted, just such a perfect movie. Donna Reed, incredibly beautiful. And then the other Frank Capra film, I think many of Frank Capra's comedies can be watched on Christmas because they're all very beautiful, very, very sweet, and very warm and deep. But the other one I would pick would be You Can't Take It With You, which is Frank Capra's movie from 1938. And yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, this is a wonderful film starring James Stewart, Jean Arthur, Lionel Barrymore, Ann Miller, Edward Arnold, Dub Taylor, Spring Byington, Misha Auer, Eddie Anderson, Donald Meek, H.B. Warner, so tons of people, and it's a great film. Basically, if you want a short synopsis, this movie's about Jimmy Stewart, from a family of rich snobs, is engaged to Jean Arthur, and basically it's just him discovering Jean Arthur's crazy family, which consists of Lionel Barrymore, all of these people who I mentioned, and it's a really fun film with a very warm ending, great message, great performances. It's just a really, really, really sweet Frank Capra film, which I definitely recommend to watch on Christmas because it's just such a feel-good, warm, kind movie with great performances. Okay, next, Groundhog Day. Okay, so obviously Groundhog Day is not a Christmas movie. It doesn't happen on Christmas, it happens on Groundhog Day, but since it's such a, Christmassy feel movie with snow and winter, so I'd watch it on Christmas, and I think it's a wonderful film starring Bill Murray, Andy McDowell, Harold Ramis, and Stephen Tobolowsky, who plays Ned, annoying Ned. So, what can be said about Groundhog Day? I recently rewatched this in the cinema on 35mm, and I must say that the other times I've seen this movie, I haven't noticed how actually perfectly written it is. So this movie is written by Harold Ramis and Danny Rubin, and it's got just a perfect script. Harold Ramis and Rubin basically think of everything that Bill Murray could have tried during his never-ending day that keeps repeating itself. It's just such a perfect and smart, well-thought-out script. Wonderful film. Also got a very small role by Michael Shannon. Released in 93. I actually always thought that this film was from the 80s, but it's from 93. I love it. Next. Okay. 2 by Ernst Lubitsch. So first is The Shop Around the Corner. So The Shop Around the Corner is a wonderful film starring, once again, Jimmy Stewart, also Margaret Sullivan, Frank Morgan, the great Felix Broussard, great character actor, Joseph Schildkraut. So this movie is the original film of You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. This is the original one, and it's amazing. It's a very, once again, warm, charming, fun film about James Stewart and Margaret Sullivan don't like each other. They work in the same gift shop, and they are pen pals, but anonymous pen pals, and they fall in love with each other through their pen pal-ness, if you can say that. And basically, yeah, it's a wonderful film, very well acted by Jimmy Stewart, Margaret Sullivan, and especially Felix Broussard, who is just really, really funny and great actor. One of my top favorite Ernst Lubitsch films, actually. And the other one, which is probably my absolute favorite Ernst Lubitsch movie, would be Heaven Can Wait. Not to be confused with Warren Beatty's Heaven Can Wait. This is Ernst Lubitsch's 1943 Heaven Can Wait in color. So, this, if you haven't seen this movie, watch it right after this video. It is an absolute masterpiece, starring Donna Mecci, Gene Tierney, Charles Coburn, Marjorie Main, Lard Cregar, Who else? Eugene Palette. Great character actor, just like Felix Broussard, from a bunch of Preston Sturges movies. This movie is incredible. The film is about Don Ameche, who is dead. So it starts out with Don Ameche dead, and he arrives in hell for his life to be reviewed by Satan, who will basically see if he has to go to hell or if he should go to heaven. And so obviously it's a fantasy, but it's an absolutely amazing movie. So the film is about, I guess, Satan watching Don Ameche's life, and it's just such a beautiful movie. It's just an absolute masterpiece. It's based on a play by Leslie Bush Fickety, I believe that's how you pronounce the name, and the screenplay is written by Samson Raffleson, and it's directed by Ernst Lubitsch, and it's just got all of that Lubitsch touch. It's beautiful, it's witty, it's smart, it's charming, it's got great performances by all of these actors that I mentioned, particularly Charles Coburn. He plays a very funny role here. This film is perfect in every way. Every scene is just perfect and genius and smart. Just the dialogue is hilarious and perfect. Very, very heartbreaking as well. There's a moment in this film which is just beautiful, but at the same time so heartbreaking. And this film was I don't want to spoil much, but this film was an absolute masterpiece. I definitely recommend everyone to watch it. Heaven Could Wait. Okay, so radical transition from Heaven Can Wait to Steve Pink's Hot Tub Time Machine. So this movie is surprisingly amazing. It's just like, a funny sex comedy film. I tend to prefer 80s sex comedies films to modern ones, but this film, in fact, turns out to be kind of an 80s sex comedy, because it's about 4 friends who go on a holiday and in 2009, and who basically, they sit in a magic hot tub and they're transported back to their youth, to a ski resort to 1986. And it's a hilarious, really funny Christmassy movie starring John Cusack, Craig Robinson, Rob Cordy, Clark Duke, Chevy Chase as the repairman. I actually don't remember Chevy Chase in this movie, but yeah, obviously as an homage to National Lampoon 80s Chevy Chase films. Also Lizzie Kaplan and Crispin Glover. And yeah, it's a really, really fun, surprisingly great, hilarious film. Okay, next, Dumb and Dumber by Peter Farrelly of the Farrelly Brothers. I love Dumb and Dumber. I think this is a wonderful film, very witty, very funny, just great performances by Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, and then Lauren Hawley, who plays Jim Carrey's love interest. And also, I guess, Jeff Daniels' love interest as well. They fight over her, I believe, as far as I remember. And also stars Terry Garr. I don't actually remember Terry Garr in this movie. Wait a second, who is she? Helen? Oh yeah, okay. She was like a guest at the ski resort ball where Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey dress very interestingly in these great tuxedos. Yeah, so Terry Garr is here. I don't remember her in this movie, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, so this is a wonderful, also very cozy film. I think that when the two, Dumbos arrive at the ski resort, it becomes a very cozy movie. So it's great to watch on Christmas. It's got lots of snow, obviously. And yeah, and I think this movie is fantastic. I also think that the sequel is surprisingly really, really funny as well. I preferred this one, but the second one was also really, really funny. But the first one is definitely the Christmas one, because half of it happens at a ski resort. Okay, next. Billy Wilder's absolute masterpiece, well, of many, actually, The Apartment. So, what can be said about The Apartment? So it stars Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, who's one of my absolute favorite actresses of all time, Fred MacMurray, and Jack Crushing, also Eddie Adams, Ray Walston. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. He plays one of the employees at Fred MacMurray's firm. And also, Joan Shawley. I don't know this actress, but she plays Sylvia. Anyways, The Apartment. Masterful film. beautiful ultra wide, well, not ultra widescreen, but beautiful widescreen black and white photography. Billy Wilder preferred black and white to color because he said that he felt that color just didn't look real, and that it looked just very as if the film was painted on, and it didn't look authentic enough, and it looked kind of ugly. But I guess he said that in the 40s because color processing was not as advanced as, for example, later. So he preferred to shoot his films in black and white. And let me tell you, this is a beautiful black and white picture by Billy Wilder. Perhaps one of his best. If you haven't seen The Apartment, it's about basically Jack Lemmon, who was a very naive guy who was forced to lend his apartment to his boss, played by Fred MacMurray, for him to have affairs in. And Shirley MacLaine, she works at the same company as Jack Lemmon, and she turns out to be Fred MacMurray's girlfriend. And one night, Jack Lemmon's apartment is being used by Fred MacMurray and Shirley MacLaine. But I believe it happens on Christmas Eve. But so they have an argument, and Fred leaves, and Shirley is left in Jack Lemmon's apartment. So, and I believe she takes an overdose of sleeping pills, and so she takes an overdose, falls knocked out in Jack Lemmon's bed. Then obviously Jack Lemmon comes home from the cold with a girl. Actually, he finally picks up a chick, played by Joyce Jamison, and he brings her to his apartment. Finally, so Jack Lemmon finally got lucky. So finally he has a chance himself to fool around with a dame at his own apartment, which, however, what happens is that he obviously finds Shirley MacLaine. So the drama starts. And yeah, so The Apartment is a wonderful movie. It's an absolute masterpiece, perfectly written by Billy Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond. Absolutely amazing film. Great performances by everybody. Touching, beautiful, entertaining. Just one of my absolute favorite movies. Fantastic Christmas movie. Also, Jack Crucian, who plays the Dr. Dreyfus, gives a really, really, really great performance. Very, very charismatic and lovable character, who is not so lovely in the great Alan Arkin, James Caan film, Freebie and the Bean. Yeah, anyways, next one is Elf from 2003 by Jon Favreau. So Elf, what can be said about Elf? It's a classic Christmas movie starring Will Ferrell, Zooey Deschanel, Jon Favreau himself, James Caan, apparently, as Walter. I don't remember him. I guess I've seen this film a long time ago, but yeah, I was just talking about him. Strange, yeah? Peter Dinklage also, I remember him. Mary Steenburgen, Bob Newhart, Ed Asner, Peter Billingsley also. So Elf, great movie about an elf played by Will Ferrell who was raised by elves in the North Pole, but he's obviously not an elf, he's a human, so he comes to New York to find his real father. And it's a very funny movie, classic Christmas movie. I love it. It gives me a very warm feeling inside. Very funny jokes. Will Ferrell's great. Yeah, I mean, Elf speaks for itself, really. Next is Woody Allen's Hannah and Her Sisters, one of his many masterpieces. It's not really a Christmas movie because it revolves around 3 Thanksgivings in 3 successive years, but close enough. It's just a great film to watch on Christmas, in my opinion. So, this film stars Woody himself, Michael Caine, Mia Farrow, Diane Wiest, Barbara Hershey, Max von Sydow, Carrie Fisher, Sam Waterston, Maureen O'Sullivan, Lloyd Nolan, John Turturro, Daniel Stern, Julie Kavner, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Richard Jenkins, basically a lot of people. Louis Black, Jonah Gleason, tons of people. Okay, tons of people. Anyways, yeah, this is a great movie that revolves around 3 sisters played by Mia Farrow, Barbara Hershey, and Diane Wiest over 3 years. It's basically about their lives, their fates. Just an absolutely fantastic, just incredible film. Great performances by everybody. It's got one of the greatest philosophical Woody Allen moments in which Woody is about to kill himself and he already, well, it's not a spoiler, really, because you can't really spoil this film. So basically, Woody, he thinks that his life is over, he's ready to kill himself, and then he shoots the gun, but his hands were so sweaty that the gun misses, and he shoots the mirror, and then mentally just broken, and at the end, goes into a cinema that is showing Duck Soup, and he just, like, realizes that life is the moments in which you just enjoy yourself, like watching the Marx Brothers, for example. Life is full of these great moments, and just live life for these great moments, and don't think too deep about the meaning of life or anything, and that's his philosophy. It's one of the greatest moments in a Woody Allen film, in my opinion, and it's an absolute masterpiece, really warm film. That's probably particularly why I'd choose it as a Christmas movie. Incredible ending, just absolutely masterful ending. Brilliant, brilliant film. Fun fact, Woody Allen wanted to get Jack Nicholson to play the role of Michael Caine, but for some reason he refused, so he got Caine instead. But it would have been interesting to see Jack Nicholson in a Woody Allen film. Anyways, then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles by John Hughes. Classic Christmas movie starring the great Steve Martin and John Candy. Really wonderful road movie. This film, just like Elf, speaks for itself. Just wonderful, wonderful, sweet and warm film. I love it. Great performances. Hilarious. And I guess my absolute two favorite Christmas movies of all time are, once again, the John Hughes written Home Alone and Home Alone 2. I mean, these movies are just the pinnacle of Christmas movies. I love these films. They're so funny and just beautiful, and Kevin is so great. Obviously, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, fantastic. Just such great characters. Really was a childhood favorite of mine. I love all the intricate traps that Kevin sets. You know, it's just wonderful film. Home Alone 2 as well, I think is great. It's in New York. I love New York during Christmas. Yeah, these, I guess, are my two absolute favorite Christmas movies of all time. And so, yeah, that's it. I hope I gave you guys some Christmas movies that you've never seen that you might check out after this video. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I wish you guys a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.